Um, I'm recording this video because I just wanted to share with you that this test is usually one of the harder tests of the entire year. And you can see the average, usually, it's in the upper B, maybe A minus, but there's sometimes when it's even lower than that. Very rarely do we get 100%, and sometimes there's some low grades here. So this is one of those tests that's usually a little bit difficult. It's kind of a challenge, and it sometimes is difficult for students to get done in time. If anybody's wanting some extra practice, I'm not saying you should have to do it. I'm just simply saying that if you wanted extra practice because you're a little bit concerned about the test, I'm sending a program, and I want to show you how to use the program. Okay, so the program is a spreadsheet. It's called the Force Diagram 2019, and I attached it to your email. It's through Gmail. You need to download that to your desktop. Don't open it up in the internet browser because it won't work. The program won't work. It'll kind of mess up the program and not function the way you want it to. Sometimes it's difficult to download stuff, so you might have to save it into your Google Drive and then open up the folder you put it in the Google Drive and then download that to your desktop. So here is the program. This is what it looks like when it opens up. And let me go to the very beginning. It's not doing exactly what I want it to do. Okay, so oops. Okay, still not quite there. Okay, when you open it up, it should look like this, okay? There's conceptual practice and quantitative practice. So conceptual practice is if you're having a hard time drawing force diagrams and you want some extra practice on it, that's what the conceptual practice is. The quantitative practice is after you've drawn the force diagrams, if you want some additional numerical problems that you can practice, that's what I'm recommending. And I'm going to show both of them to you. So let me show you the conceptual practice. So it's going to look something like this, where they'll show you some problem, and then you'll answer some questions down here, and it will draw the force diagram for you. Okay, and here will be the description. Begin and start. So here's the problem. It says that there's this light string is used to suspend this rock from the ceiling. And so we're just going to answer some questions here. So does the force act on the objects, on the rock? So let's just say you say no, you type it in, hit enter, and it'll kind of disagree with you. So I'm going to go back up and hit yes. And then it'll say which degree should you point the force. So let's say I'm going to say the force is directly upward. So I'm going to say 90 degrees. And how long? It doesn't really matter how long you draw. I'm just going to say 1 inch. And what type of force is this? Well, this is through the string, so I'm going to call this a tension force. And what's the agent of this force? Well, the agent is the dealer. So when we're talking about feeler-dealer notation, the agent is the dealer. So in this case, it's a string. Does any other force act on this? Well, I could say no, but it'll kind of disagree with me again. So I'm going to say yes. And what angle should this new force point? And I'm going to say, looking at the picture, 270 degrees. And how long do I want to draw? Well, so let's say I say 1.5. Okay. What type of force is this? I'll say it's gravity. Or I could say weight. What's the agent of this? Well, what causes it? What's the dealer? That would be Earth. And it'll say, is there any of the force? I'll say no. No other forces. And it wants to know, is the rock accelerating? Well, I look at the picture, it says can't move, so I'll say no. And it says, but your net force is not 0. So notice how there's a black arrow here. I want that to be 0. Well, that's because I made this too long. Let's make this 1 inch. And if I get it right, it'll say congratulations. Okay, and it'll show you all the different forces over here and in the X and Y direction and all that. So there's several problems. Let me show you all of them. And that's just kind of a conceptual practice. You don't need to do those unless you're thinking, I need some extra practice on how to do these problems. Now let me show you the quantitative practice. So first of all, for the quantitative practice, if you want to do them, only do the first link here where it says free particle model, because that's our current test. So you will not know how to do the bottom two here. So the first link here, And there's lots of different options. These are all the different problems. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different types of problems in here. And it kind of shows you what it would look like. So for instance, let me pick on this first one here. And it's going to kind of show me a situation which I would want to draw a force diagram for. It tells me what the mass of this crate is. It tells me what the angle above the horizontal is, and it tells me what the tension is. And the question is, how much friction is there now? How much is the normal force? And so I can draw my force diagram, I can write my equations, and I can solve them. And after I solve them, I can actually look here. It tells me what the answers are, and I can see if my answers are right. Now, I do need to caution you that instead of, we use 10 for figuring out the weight, like the weight of this we would say is 930. I think for the program I used, instead of 10, I used 9.8. So your numbers might be slightly off of this, but if they're pretty close, then you probably did it right. So there's lots of different problems here you could try, I think it's good practice if you want to. If you're like, hey, I've been doing pretty good on the whiteboarding, I did pretty good on the quizzes, I think I get this stuff. I don't think I really need extra practice, then I don't know that you necessarily need to do this. This is just for the students who are a little bit anxious about the test.